I went to squat down and pee, and this contraction was crazy. And I put my hand down there in between my legs, and I felt his head. Welcome to Reps and Redemption, a podcast for moms who want to prioritize their health and build strength from the inside out. Hey there, mama. I know you long to find the joy in all the things homemaking and motherhood while showing your kids that you don't have to give up on yourself, your goals, or your desired quiet time with Jesus just to be a good mom. I'm your host, Ashley Harvey, former college athlete, wife, homeschooling, faith-filled homemaker, mom of 4, nutrition and strength training coach. If you're ready to take control of your health, lose fat, build muscle, and faith, you're in the right place. Grab that iced coffee and let's dive in. Hey there, happy Monday. We are just going to dive in today because there has been a lot that has happened in the last week. So I want to share that with you guys today. And also just bear with me. It might sound a little smidge off. I'm in my closet on the floor. My desk is gone. There's a lot of birthing stuff around. And yeah, I'm just kind of going with it. And this is actually one of the first episodes that I'm recording closer to the release date, which is in a day and a half. So, I wanted to release an episode today about, scriptures, affirmations for birth, and because it is the due date of my baby boy. However, God and baby boy had different plans because he is already here. And he was born this past Friday, a week ago, actually, 8 days ago, on July 7th. And that's what this episode's going to be about. I'm going to just, share with you some highlights, a few lowlights, just how everything happened. I made a few notes, outline, in regards to just kind of help me stay on track and just share the birth story of my beautiful baby boy who is sleeping in his bassinet right next to my bed as I speak to you. And the rest of the family is at the gym. So let's get to it. Also, I do think that this episode is timely because Reps and Redemption today actually hit 5,000 downloads. And I just want to thank you for listening to the show. And if there's anything that you really want me to talk about, or if you would like to come on the show and talk about anything related to faith, fitness, health, birth stories, go ahead and email me at repsandredemption@gmail.com. I'd love to discuss further what you have in mind. And make sure you check out the show notes now and get on the email list because I will be sending monthly updates, podcast roundups, workouts, recipes, things like that. And especially once I get in the groove with my little man here. So let me jump into kind of how all of this happened. So last week, we actually, kind of to tie in with the birth of another child, we went car shopping. We've been vehicle exploring and shopping for several months now. We've actually saved for this particular car for probably 6 years. And we knew we were going to buy used. We knew we wanted more space. And there was a lot of options. And then lots of them fell through and did not work out for us. Or it was like sold out from under us. Something like that happened. And so on July 3rd, I became a minivan mom, which I am super excited about. I love it. It's a 2014 Honda Odyssey. So it's 6 years newer than my last car, which is amazing. And Sally, who had it before me, I don't know anything else about her except her name is Sally, took very good care of this vehicle. It's just perfect for our family. It's got lower mileage than most, and we weren't going to do a minivan, but lo and behold, here we are, and I cannot wait to load my people up in it and get going. I've driven it a few times, but 3 days later, my baby boy was born. So I really think that it's kind of funny how things work like that. And if you drive a minivan, let me know. Tell me tell me your hacks, because after we got it, I was watching like all the hacks on YouTube of minivan mom hacks and how to organize your minivan and best snacks for the minivan to not make a mess, just things like that. So if you have any tips and tricks, I'd love to hear them. Okay, so I'm going to jump into the my birth story of my second home birth that happened 8 days ago now. And I think just thinking about it now, it just kind of all makes sense. But I wanted to outline just the story of how it all went down. So Thursday, this is Thursday, July 6th, before the Friday, obviously. And I really was not feeling well. I just did not feel like myself. I felt foggy. It kind of felt like the flu. I did throw up like one time. All I wanted to do was sleep. And I asked my husband to come home early so he could come home, watch the little one. My 6-year-old is very self-sufficient, but she loves company. So, to just sit with them and play with them, or, get them dinner and all that. And so I went to bed really early Thursday night. I'm talking like 6:30, but I had a really hard time sleeping, and I probably fell asleep probably around 2 in the morning. And being in the third trimester, you're just uncomfortable at this point. Like, at least I am. I'm not. Pregnancy is not easy on my body. It's not super difficult, but it's not like a walk in the park. And it's, my back hurt, my side, everything. So I, finally fell asleep probably 2, 3 in the morning. I did feel some menstrual-like cramps, but that's kind of normal towards the end anyways. So I didn't really think anything of it. And the next day I still felt like flu-like I threw up in the morning. I was so tired. And I didn't know if I was getting sick, because I really don't get sick very often, but it felt like it. So I told my midwife, and she, advised me, to double vitamin C, elderberry, certain things like that, get some rest. And I took a long nap from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And my husband, thankfully, stayed home. However, I did have an errand to get our new minivan checked out by our awesome mechanic, but he's about 40 minutes away. And he did that errand for me. Since he took off, he took our 6-year-old with him, and then my 1-year-old stayed with me and my oldest. And my oldest really helped out on Friday because I was like, I just need to go to sleep. So they played and had a good time and some quality time together, and I went to sleep, which is super, super rare. And I actually did sleep for a couple hours. And when I woke up, I did feel I felt better, but I did feel cramps. I felt just kind of dragging. And now I still don't really know if I was, coming down with something. It felt like it. Or if it was my body just really shutting everything down and reserving resources for the upcoming inevitable. So really around 5 o'clock, 5:30, I kept having cramps, just like period-like cramps. And I was like, I don't know. And even my midwife was like, I think you're dehydrated because you've been sick. Like you have flu-like symptoms. So we both kind of thought nothing of it, but come 6 o'clock, 6:30, I did tell my husband, because he was going to do one more errand after the car. I was like, no, just come home, because this is getting a little bit intense. And I was outside with my oldest, and my oldest, Chloe, she was like, are you sure you're not in labor? And I think it was just kind of confusing because I hadn't felt great the last, 36 hours. So I was kind of dismissing it, like, no, I don't think so. But then again, I was sitting outside and I was like, well, maybe. Because when my mom and sister were visiting the weekend before, my sister was like, oh, I want you to have it while I'm here. I want you to have the baby while I'm here. And I said, I don't think I'm going to have the baby, my baby boy, while you're here, because I felt in my spirit when I don't remember what I asked the Lord. I don't remember what I prayed, just like about when will he be here, something like that. And in my spirit, it was July 7th. And it dawned on me when I was sitting outside, like, oh my gosh, it's July 7th. And I was like, but it's almost 6 o'clock. Like, I mean, I guess, anything is possible, right? Because the babies do come at night, really, too. So, and, for months, I've had, I've had prayer requests of praying for me for a swift labor, a smooth home birth and all of the things. And, around when my husband got home, we had some things set up. I was able to just pull out the water birthing tub and put it on the carpet. Like I covered the carpet up. Like I was still like capable of moving around, and like I was getting a few things ready, and I didn't feel completely ready. But in hindsight, does it really matter? My midwife even said, does it really matter if your laundry is put away? Like, if you're going into labor, you're going into labor. What are you going to do about it? Like, there's always laundry to do, basically. So I was, preparing a little bit. And then probably, I would say around 7 o'clock, that's when, okay, these are getting a little bit more like, this is not dehydration. This is something. And I put on my Christian hypnobirthing app that, she's got a very soothing voice. I think her name is Tara. And she, speaks life and scripture and talks about how God created our body to do this, how to relax. So I was starting to really process the fact that, okay, you know what? This in fact is labor. This boy is coming. And I have, had my own, I guess, fear, I wouldn't say fear, maybe anxiety of the intensity of it. I don't want to call it pain, but it is inevitable that there is intense moments. You are opening, you are birthing a child, and I just wanted it to be as fast as possible. So I switched from, being in, like, lying on my bed in a comfortable position to, okay, I felt like getting in the bathtub. So my husband helped me do that. And I'd have one, and then, the contractions would be, they started 7 minutes apart to 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes. And he kept timing them. And I was like, yeah, I think it was kind of inevitable. Like, you don't have to time it now, really. Like, I'm in the bathtub, and they're like just waves. And it wasn't that comfortable sitting on my butt in the bathtub, like experiencing a contraction. So then I got out after like 20 minutes, maybe like 6 contractions. And then I came into my bedroom and like did some on the ball and just tried to relax. I was trying to remember to relax my hands, my jaw, just really, and I would say things that she would say on the app, like, I accept this, I'm not fighting this, I welcome this, I'm about to meet my baby. And I mean, it is work. It's called labor for a reason. But while I was in the bathtub, my husband called my midwife, and she's like, let me hear her during, one of the contractions. So she listened, and then she was like, okay, well, I'm going to head over. And she was here in no time, felt like it. And I was on the birthing ball at this point, right next to my bed, actually right where my last child, my Annie, was born. I was in that position, but just leaning on the ball and like on the bed. And she'd come and push on my hips, which felt amazing. And it was getting more and more intense. And I just pictured, okay, all of these are good. And even, my midwife is very quiet, but she would say, these are good. That's one less you have to do, one less, And I loved that, because you feel like you're getting closer. And I don't remember what time it was, but I said, when should I get in the pool and to have, the water birth? And she was like, whenever you want. Maybe you want to go pee first. Unless you want to pee in there, that's fine. And I was like, I'll go pee. But, I was like, these were close contractions. And I started to squat down to pee, because I had like my little birthing dress on with my bra. but it's like a sports bra, but I went to squat down and pee, and this contraction was crazy. And I put my hand down there in between my legs and I felt his head. So I was like, oh my God, his head is right here. And she was like, okay, you can get in the water if you want, because his head wasn't out. It was just like the tippy top. And I was like, okay, like, and at this point I didn't feel any pain, any labor, any contraction. And I was like, let me get this baby out. Well, the next, I would say probably 12 minutes were the most intense, because at this point now his head, his shoulders, knees, toes, his whole body needs to pass through me to get out. And I remember asking Alex before I went to the bathroom what time it was. He said 8:44 or 8:45. And then just right then, same thing kind of with the July 7th moment. It just, in my spirit, was like, he'll be here before 9:30. And after some intense pushing and blowing, because I said, it burns. And my midwife said, blow the baby out, blow the baby out. And so when it burns, instead of, I am a little bit loud. I'm a little bit loud of a laborer. I try not to be. I want to be so quiet, not make a sound. It's just not the way the cookie crumbles for me. I am like, ah! And I try to do the low noises because it's better on moving the baby through instead of high noises. But I was just like hearing the affirmations, hearing the scripture. My husband's there. My midwife was there, and it was basically just the three of us, unless my 6-year-old and my eldest came in, and they would come in once in a while. But when it got really intense, they didn't, which is fine. And I swear, I was so loud, I thought I was going to wake up my 1-year-old, and I was like, oh, no, please. And my husband said at that last push, he was like, I bet she's going to wake up. Because I suppose I was quite loud or vocal, but I was just remembering, trying to hear these affirmations, and then just remembering, like, he's almost here. I got this. I can do this. And, instead of towards the end when it burns, like breathing out through parted lips to help push baby through the birth canal out of me. And then as soon as he was here and he was into the water, like, sweet release. And I heard Katrina, my midwife, say, get your baby. So I got him and I put him on me, and I leaned back and I was like, oh, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Both times, actually, my last home birth with Ananiah, and this time around, my husband wasn't home yet. And I, just for some reason, I'm just like, come home. I need you. And he comes and he gets home, and we are a team. And he really, honestly, just his presence alone, he doesn't even have to say anything. But he encourages me. And like I said, he was, timing the contractions and texting our midwife, and letting her know what was going on. And I just love that, how supportive he has been throughout each pregnancy, and especially with these home births. And just having him there is definitely a rock for me, and I steady out, I guess, if that makes sense. I don't think I could do it if he wasn't who he is, honestly. And Micaiah came out, and there's that lull of the release of all that pressure and that intensity, and it was just us, the two of us, and we're just looking at our son, and it was quiet, and I had Christmas lights plugged in. Like, it was just such a sweet, holy moment, and I'm really grateful for that. And that's probably one of my favorite parts of the entire experience, is just I'm leaning back in the pool and he's right behind me, and Alex gave me a kiss, and we're looking at our baby boy, and we're just like, wow, this is incredible. And it was 9:16 p.m. and mind you, it all started really around 7:30, pretty intensely. And that was an answered prayer. It was swift. Thank you, God. But it was also quite intense and beautiful. I loved holding him on me in the water, because after that, you wait about 20-30 minutes to birth the placenta. I could have gotten out, but I am kind of a clean freak, and I was like, well, since I'm in there, since I'm in here, let me just do it in here and keep like the mess like together. So that's what we did, and I was holding him, and I'm kind of covered because I had my like little sports bra on. I didn't have anything on the bottom. Obviously, you can't. And once we had some moments with our little man, Alex went and got the girls, and they got to see their brother fresh from heaven, just covered in what is it called? I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue. The white that's all over them, when they come out, and it's just really a special moment. I had Christmas lights up, so it was like low light. It was very quiet. The affirmations were on very quiet, so I couldn't really hear them in my intense moments, but I heard them now, and it was just beautiful. And wow, I can't believe it. So July 17th was the due date. So as you can gather, a due date is a guesstimate or a guess date. It is not a make or break type thing. And I knew that he was going to come earlier than 40 weeks. My body felt ready. And there's a couple of things that I wish I would have maybe, I don't know, I guess lessons learned type thing, but I wish I would have been a little bit more prepared, like house-wise. But again, like even if I was, I probably would say the same thing still. But it was laundry day for towels on Thursday when I didn't feel good, so we barely had any towels like to rub the boy off and for me to get out of the pool. So just little things like that. But also the afterbirth of my third vaginal delivery, second home birth, was a lot more intense than the afterbirth with my other two. So I just heard someone talk about how warm drinks only, and then like a heating pad on their abdomen, which I did do the heating pad, and I did feel my uterus contract and like shrink down. So that was really good. There was, just so many little things that, let me check my notes here because I wanted to share just how amazing having my little one at home is. I know it can be scary when you think about like all the what ifs and things like that, but also for the most part, birth is normal. It's a normal thing that God created, and I can't believe how swift this birth really was. I feel like I've been kind of in a daze because there's been some other things that have happened since, but the newborn sweet snuggles that we've had since he's been here, oh, I just love it. I love smelling his head. I hear him stirring a little bit now, so I'm going to have to end this in a few minutes. But yeah, I would say like plan if you're having, your second, third, or fourth. Even your first, but the afterbirth pains are kind of rough, and you're holding a baby, and if you have other kids, it's different. It's different for sure. So I wish I would have had a little bit more handle on that. Let's see. I've shared before my struggles with breastfeeding and my breastfeeding journeys with my other two. So I won't go into too much detail. It's still kind of fresh, and, I'm postpartum healing, and I don't want to get like super emotional, but it is not going to happen for me again. And, okay, I'm okay. It's just an emotional topic for me. Mainly because, I think it's because, two reasons. It was absolutely incredibly painful. Once I tried, I bought a certain breastfeeding course. I did the golden hours. I did skin to skin. I tried latching, all these things, pumping, all the things that you do. And I've done things people have never heard of. I'll just put it that way. And my problem was transfer, which was kind of the issue with Annie, my last. But I was able to squeeze milk out on the sides, but the milk would actually come out of the ducts, not my nipple. So there's that. And I could only squeeze it out, I couldn't pump it out. So with this one, with this little man, I couldn't get the milk out at all. And let me tell you, I tried. And, a lot of people will say, well, give it a couple days. There's no way I could function a couple more days with like, my body would make the milk. It's there, but it's transferring it out. And I knew I had a transfer issue with my last baby, and it could be the grade 3 inversion that I have. It could be that. It could be that. God knows I'm going to be a better bottle feeder. I'm not sure. I have to trust him. I am the clay. He's the potter. So, and I think that's of course one of the most upsetting things. It's kind of selfish, but it hurts so bad. So after trial and error and trying to get it out several different ways between pump, hand expressing, massage, some things my husband helped me try to get it out as well. We were just kind of beside ourselves with, and I had a plan. I knew if it wasn't going to work, I knew what I was going to do, but I didn't know that, I guess I just didn't think that my body would still make the milk and I couldn't get it out. So then I had to go down the process of telling my body not to make it anymore. And that was, it's been a week, but it was several days of doing certain things that make me really foggy, hazy, kind of full anxiety. Most of it is all natural and holistic. One thing was not, but I have to tell my body to not make it. So, it's kind of sad. But at the same time, my baby boy is super healthy. And also the other part of it, the number 2 thing is I really want to. I would love to be able to breastfeed, but God knows best, and I'm just gonna forget the rest. That's basically where I'm at with that. And there's no. Some people choose not to for whatever reason, and I chose to. I gave it a good bit of effort to get it going, and it came to the point where it was unbearable. So I had to make the decision to stop milk production, and I am blessed because I have some donor milk from my last baby from my sister-in-law. So my little guy has been having breast milk too, and so thank you, sis. Thank you, Heather. Never forget that. With my last baby and home birth, because I thought she was latching and transferring the milk, she lost 20%, which, as you know, 10% or less is okay, but over that can be very dangerous. And I knew that my husband and I were both in 110% agreement. We knew we were not going to let that happen. So if it was formula, it's formula. If it's donor milk, if it's both, it didn't matter. We were feeding our baby. So, you got to weigh the pros and cons, if depending on what place you're in, and if you're anything like me, you really want to, and some things come up, it's in my opinion not worth the health of the newborn baby. They just need to eat and they just need to be snuggled. And so I knew that I wasn't going to take those chances again, and that he was going to eat the moment he came out, or within the first 3 hours. And even though I latched him and I thought things were going to work, and I was very hopeful, my midwife, who is also my friend, Katrina, she, I had expressed to her, what if nothing is coming out, kind of like with Annie, because she was present for Annie's birth as well, and she knew my challenges with Annie and breastfeeding as well. And she said, would you want some of my milk? Because she has a 6-month-old. And I was like, yeah. So before she left, after she, was our midwife here for the birth for our baby boy, she hand pumped like 3 or 4 ounces of milk. And she said, just give it to him on a little spoon or a syringe, and that way you can know that he has had milk in case the same things are happening that happened last time. And I'm like, now I think about it and I look back, I'm like, wow, what an incredible midwife, right? Like like she got here right away. She didn't wait around. Like, she was quiet and present with us, like reassuring me. But not very, it was just, it felt like a very holy moment. It wasn't interrupted all the time. And then she was like, oh, and here's some milk from fresh breast milk for your baby. Like, wow, now I'm just so thankful to all these people that have cared for me and all my babies. And so I'm trying to think of anything else that, I wish I would have had ready. I maybe just be a little bit more mentally prepared for things not to go exactly the way that you have hoped. And I think I was. I do. I don't know. I think even if you are, you might still feel like hopeful and sad when something doesn't really go the way that you hope and pray. But at the same time, the Lord told me when he was going to be born, July 7th. He was going to be here before 9:30. He was born at 9:16 p.m. I prayed for a swift birth. Everyone was praying for me. When I texted my mom and sister, I was like, yeah, it's starting. They were praying for me. My parents' Bible group was praying for me. And some prayers get answered and some don't. And I think that's kind of maybe what I'm struggling with right now is like, well, why? If I want to feed my baby myself so bad and my last 2 babies, like, what is it? And you know what? It's like, I feel like God has said to me several times or shown me, through reading his word, like, do I have to know the answer? And I think sometimes we think we deserve the answer or we should know the answer, and we might not ever on this side of eternity or on this side of the other side of eternity, the earthly side. We might not when we get there. So I need to be okay with that. And let's see, I can compare it to birthing at the hospital, which is absolutely night and day. You're in the comfort of your own home. Like, I have been working to make my home the most comfortable place I know. I got a long way to go because I just started in the last 2 years or so really enjoying homemaking aspects of taking care of things, not just cleaning to clean, not just baking to eat, but just the process of caring for the home and for my family. And what better place to just then have your baby and lounge in bed. And also I've heard great things about birthing centers too. So, maybe consider that and with you and your spouse. And sometimes, we had a transfer plan in case anything went wrong if I needed to go to the hospital. But I did hear that recently someone shared it on their show that the first intervention of birth is getting in the car. And I remember getting in the car with my first, and oh my gosh, the contractions and being in the car were not fun. So maybe avoid that by going early if you can. But other than that, I have a sweet baby boy now, and I am not only a girl mom, and if you joined the show early on in the show days, before 5,000 downloads, yay, this show was called Raise Her Well, and I was led to changing it up a little bit, but we still talk about how important it is for us as moms to take care of our home, take care of our body, our health, and our faith, our walk with the Lord, so that our children will do the same. And now I have a little boy to show. Like, how am I going to raise a boy? Let me tell you his name. His name is Micaiah George. And if you are interested in where we got the name, it's in 1 Kings verse 22. Let me double check that just so I'm not sending you to the wrong place. But it's 1 Kings 22, yeah. And the story of the prophet Micaiah is right there. But we actually had his name a lot earlier than we had the other two. That we didn't have their name for days. So this is a first, really, to have it, to have his name ready and there. But I would, go ahead and read at least the first part of 1 Kings 22, and you'll understand the story. But his name means who is like the Lord. And let me tell you, who is like the Lord? Absolutely no one and nothing. No one and nothing compare to our God. And that is what my little boy's name means. And I absolutely love it. And I hope that this episode encourages you. I hope that if you're thinking of a home birth, go ahead and email me any questions you might have. The next few episodes that I have coming out, I'm actually still pregnant because I was working in advance. And so if you hear them, just keep in mind, I normally batch record and I work in advance. And especially with trying to take a few weeks off from this show. But I'm actually really excited to answer some questions that I've gotten, and then also talk about my postpartum recovery journey. And make sure you check out the show notes and sign up for the email list. And I'm going to have a lot of things coming out, especially once I figure out how to send it that's very reader friendly and like super easy and digestible and like quick. Because let's face it, we're moms. We don't have a ton of time. We want to be snuggling our babies and playing outside, at least when it's not too hot for me. So I hope that this has helped you and encouraged you. If you have any questions, just email me. And I hope that you enjoyed my birth story. It was intense. It was holy. It was unworldly, let me just say. And my little man is here. So the next episode, I will be talking about being more present and things I got rid of. And that was for a couple of weeks. And now I'm going back and forth with, I've had a question, like I tried messaging you on Instagram. It's just things like that. A lot of the other people I listen to keep their DMs open. So I'm just kind of wrestling with if I should get back on Instagram, keep Facebook. I can't keep all this stuff. It's just too much. And you'll see why in the next episode. I just can't have it. So I need to pick one. And just, if you have a preference, why don't you go ahead and email me and let me know where you like to spend a few minutes a day. And we'll see. I'll try to compare and contrast because I think they both have their pros and cons. So anyways, have a blessed week. And if you are close to your due date and you heard me talking about the Christian hypnobirthing app, I'll link it in the show notes if I can. It's an app. I've never linked an app before. And then also, if by chance because it is 20, I think it's $20. And then you have the app for life. But if by chance, you're not able to get it, just message me. I'd love to gift it to you and bless you with that. It really has blessed me and helped me work through some anxiety and fear that I had with going through the natural birthing process again. So go ahead and do that. And until next time. If this episode inspired you, will you share with a friend? I would be so grateful if you would leave a podcast review on your listening app of choice. Remember, the content provided in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please seek the advice of your qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical or health condition. Remember, be bold, mama, and live well. Until next time.